we're back with another one. Welcome to the King-Abrams show. We are here. I am Samantha Abrams, and who is that?
Kiss and wish me a nice show.
Aww.
But I have her wish me. Yeah, she kissed me off camera. At least I thought that was off camera. Was it?
Yeah, she kissed you.
Yeah, okay, but you didn't. But you could like. I didn't want her on. I don't want her. I don't want my daughter exposed to the filth that is the King-Abrams show.
Is it filth? It's actually not as much filth as I had hoped it would be.
But lately, the thing is, right? We started out with lots of filth, and then suddenly we're booking all these like musicians and actors and like these high-profile people, and we just want to talk to them about their music and their acting and stuff. You know, like we tried to squeeze in some filth.
yeah, that was my experience. Last week we had the legend of Big Daddy Kane on the show.
Yeah, and, like how did you squeeze in filth there?
Yeah, I started out pretty filthy, or as filthy as I could get, and then I'm looking at this guy. It's like we have to talk about his rap career.
Exactly, and like I started out before he got on the show. I'm making stupid jokes about you banging him. You know what I mean? Like just dumb stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's like. You know how I said like sex with Sam, just stupid things, and then I'm trying to keep it like, trying to throw out the filth, but then he gets on and I'm just like, oh man, can we talk about Biz Markie? Can we talk about,
Yeah.
It was weird. It didn't work out like
how do you segue sexual topics with Biz Markie?
Right.
And Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah. That was wild. I forgot about that too.
Yeah. So we're learning. This is episode 8. Tonight's episode is called Porn. Porn. Is it ever a good handbook for sex?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty porn. You don't get any nastier than that.
Good. I like that we're bringing it full circle and we're coming back to the nitty gritty. We're getting in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you thought? We just saw I saw a viewer just made a comment. John, I know him, and so I'm glad you're listening. Glad you're watching, John. Porn. Well, you came up with the subject, so I'll let you kick it off. Like, what do you think? Do you think porn is a good handbook?
Well, before we get into the topic, because we want to be sort of starting that conversation before our guest arrives in a few minutes. But how's your sex life been? I didn't talk to you at all.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to you once this week, but we didn't talk about sexy stuff.
That's
How
right.
you and Sarah been doing this week?
Man. I love it. I don't know what it is, but sex lately has been super good. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not bragging. And I'm sure she wouldn't say it's super good because she has to bang this. But you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Don't be so hard on yourself. How do you know? You may be super good.
I know. You know what? I've definitely got some attributes that are positive and that women like because, as you know, Sarah is quite beautiful. You've commented, and I've always had beautiful in my life. I've never not been able to find a beautiful woman to fall in love with me. So there's got to be something. There's got to be something about it. There's got to be something. But I don't think when I look at
that thunder, Brian. Let me find out you got that thunder.
When I look in the mirror, I don't see what they see. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? And I'm not even being hard on myself. I'm like, but here's the thing. But here's the thing, though. I will say this, though. I have been actively getting fit over the past several years. When you met me, I was heavier than I am now, although I got heavier after the last and I'm down. I have dropped 100 pounds in the past several years. And I still got a lot to go. Wow. I appreciate that. Now I still have a lot to go. I can almost see my penis.
You can see it. You just can almost see it standing without expressing.
Right. I can almost see it.
Strategy.
Well, I only have to lean over a little bit, and
Just a
then I was
little
like,
bit,
yeah,
and then
no,
you
but
can flip over.
it's actually so I think that losing the weight and getting in better health has brought my libido back into what it used to be, because you're just not that interested when you're a big guy, and having sex is like a tough chore, and it's so much easier to order a pizza and call it a night.
A tough chore. Oh my. Well, I back on, you said you always have had no problem getting a beautiful woman to fall in love with you. But there are a lot of beautiful women, not condescending, but myself, who enjoy the larger body. I
Oh,
am
yeah.
Rose. I'm nothing wrong
Wait,
with a
wait,
little
wait
bit
a
of
minute.
squishy. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of squishy there.
This whole time I've known you, and you telling me just now that you're into bigger dudes, and now that I live like 4 states away from you and 1,000 miles, so what the hell?
Well, I am into bigger guys, but you're just a little too. You're about 13 shades too light. I
Oh,
like them
oh,
big and black.
oh, oh, you're
You
killing
know,
me. Oh
like
man,
they got to look like they come from the motherland.
I got you. No, and I know a guy for you. If you ever come out to Dallas, I know a guy. All
Big
right,
old black guy.
yeah, this dude, I think he's from Zaire. He's tall too, man, tall and big and just dark. And he's a good buddy of mine, actually. So
Sounds
uh,
delicious.
I know if only he were listening to our show. I have to tell. I'm not going to mention him by name because then, of course, that cuts out the other guys that might be the backups. But yeah, no, sex has been good, and I actually had a thought about something that we did recently, but then I lost it as soon as we started talking. So I'm gonna
Must
put
have
it,
been a lie. It must have been a lie.
I'm gonna put the ball in your court. How's your life? How's your week been?
Oh, well, I've had a good week. I've had a good run. I've been seeing this guy for it's been a couple of years. I cannot believe that it's lasted this long. I told him I would give him a year and a half.
Yeah,
And here we are, almost 2 years, and I had a good week. I've been on a pretty good run with. Remember last time we had this discussion a couple weeks ago? I was explaining how I had taken a night. I was very tired that day, and I had taken all the way into the wee hours of the morning to be his servant. And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I did a little bit more of that this week, and
Nice.
I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I'm enjoying myself very much. I'm just trying to figure out like when this is gonna end. Like because he's he knows he's not. Now I'm just having
Yeah.
fun, and yet it just keep going. It
So
just
as
keeps
long as
going.
you're having fun, do you see any reason for it to end? Like
The only reason that I would want it to end is if I come to the place, after having kids, after having been
Mhm.
married and divorced, where I want to connect with somebody on that on a very deep level again,
Mhm.
intimately. I just don't want that right now. So, if
Gotcha.
I come to that,
So
then
if you
I
get
will
to a
be with.
point, yeah, you get to a point where that's what you want, then it's
Yeah,
going to interfere with this relationship. Yeah.
yeah, he's
But
not
yeah,
here.
it does sound like you've had a nice run with this guy, and I'm assuming now. Do you think he feels the same, or do you think he wants more from you, or?
Oh, I'm sure he wants more. He
All
wants.
right.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think, no. When I say more, I mean more of the same, more of what I'm
Right, but
getting.
when I say
Right?
more, I mean more at a higher level of
Emotionally,
relationship.
no,
Yeah, so he
no.
doesn't want.
Neither
So
one of us. Neither
okay,
one of
okay,
us.
at least that's good because you're not going to break a heart when you suddenly decide that you
I
do. Yeah,
I hope not. I mean,
yeah.
there's a funny thing because I have to pick it apart. I mean, it's one thing to be completely heartbroken when you leave a relationship because you were in love or you were in some
Hmm.
sort of unique form of love with this person. But if for us, when this ends, it's really just going to be for him. I would imagine he's. I know his. Let's just say I know his body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's going to be missing the physical. We're both going to be missing the physical interactions.
Sure.
And so it's
That's
gonna
the
it's
nice
gonna
thing.
hurt. It's gonna hurt, but not like a
Yeah.
heartbreak.
That's the nice thing about being with a long-term partner, is that you really do get to know what each other likes and dislikes, and you get to explore. And that's what. And let me just say, I just remembered the little thing I wanted to share.
Oh yeah.
this is borderline too much information. I just want to put it out there. So if anybody doesn't want to know personal details about my sex life, then please just close your ears right now. Just go la 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 la. All right.
Ah, la 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 la. No, I'm just kidding.
We have previously mentioned that my girlfriend models, and we have also mentioned that she's on OnlyFans. You know, she has an OnlyFans site, and she has a lot of subscribers. She really does. I mean, she's got over 1,000 subscribers to her free site and her paid site. She's got a whole bunch of people subscribing there. So people have seen her nude. They've seen her naked. But she recently got a request from a fan who was bisexual, who really wanted to see like penis, and really wanted to see I don't know if it was specifically
Whose
her
penis.
Well, that's just it. I'm not entirely clear what the request was. If it was like I want to see the penis that you're getting, or I want to see the penis that you're whatever. But it turned out that it was my penis that was being shown, and
it turns out that it was my penis that was being shown.
Well, we don't have a lot of extra penises laying around the house. No, it's not your place, okay?
What? I just got penises galore just hanging out. No.
You said that. I don't know if we said that before we started recording or not, but earlier you mentioned all the penises in your apartment. And
what?
Oh, come on! Don't act like you don't remember.
I don't even know. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I'm going to plead the fifth. I have no idea what that means.
We had some kind of joke anyways. But anyways, I would like to say that my pictures of now, I'm not, because of my, the way what I do for a living and where I am at, I'm not ready to just full on like, hey, here's my whole naked body on the internet. But I will say that my pictures of my little thing brought in a cool $50. So
really, that was people were interested. So you're gonna be jumping in there with her more regularly?
I think this was an anomaly. I really do. Maybe if I lose like more weight, then who knows if I get down to where people are actually requesting me. But I think this was an anomaly. It was kind of cool though. Now I know how it must feel to be an attractive person and to be judged on that level. You know what I mean? Like because I don't really get that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm ugly. I'm saying nobody usually asks me to pay, like buys my photo, So
you guys, you are officially in the porn business. So you're creating your own porn content at this stage appropriately.
I don't know if it qualifies.
Subject.
Yeah. I don't know if it qualifies as porn. I think it was just some photos, but I'm not saying we haven't created porn. I'm just saying we just haven't necessarily distributed it.
Well, yeah, well, today's subject is about porn. I read some articles lately and a couple studies. I skimmed some studies about pornography, and this issue for me is personal, just because I won't necessarily name. I have to be careful because I was married once, but I have had previous relationships, and I don't want to name who. But I had an issue where I was in love with a man. Subject.
Yeah. I don't know. Wait, what is that? What is that?
What is that? Is there an echo?
What is that? What's happening? Oh my! You know what I actually did? That was a total rookie move. I accidentally clicked our own feed, and it started. So okay, I'm sorry. I did that.
They're doing some turntable mixing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did that. I don't want you in this show, okay?
So this issue was personal, and I chose it for a couple of reasons. One, it's personal to me. I was in a relationship where I was in love with a man who was addicted to porn, and I, in general, don't think or that porn is really a big issue for most people, most men. I think that there are, and I learned during this relationship that there are a percentage of men who really have a problem with porn. They become addicted. And in my experience, he had a hard time connecting with a warm body. It was sort of his safe rejection-free zone, if you will, with the porn. And so we weren't having sex, but he was definitely watching lots and lots of porn. And I mean, masturbating hours on end daily. So that's what we want to explore. There are lots of different reasons why men would have trouble connecting with warm bodies, but we're going to discuss how porn is one of them. And the other reason that I brought this or titled this subject, titled this episode tonight about porn is because our guest coming on this evening is I believe he is a Christian. I'm not sure, don't quote me, but I know that he's a God-fearing man, and he and his wife have this really, really awesome and very cute. I hate to call things cute that are grown up, but they're just so cute. I can't figure out which one of them is cuter. But they have him and his wife talk about relationships, and I think it's called the couple's couch. And they bring God into their relationship. So I'd be interested to see how Ron feels about porn, because when I was in the Christian community at one point, I was like this uber Christian. I was like the Sunday school teacher.
So you drove him around.
I was an uber Christian. No.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
We got to remember that this is still a comedy podcast. We're both comedians. So if we go like a couple minutes without cracking a joke, one of us has to do something.
Okay, fair enough. But I was, this super Christian. I was, wearing many hats in the church and so forth. And, back then, all I did was feel guilty about my masturbation. I've always been a big masturbator. Okay. And all I did was feel guilt and shame about it. And sometimes I would watch porn and sometimes I wouldn't. But again, so it'd be interesting to know what Ron thinks about that. And also just to explore the subject and what your expertise is and your experiences being a psychologist.
Yep.
And, so I read this article and a study that essentially took a slew of European men under the age of 40 and another slew of men over the age of 40. And what they did a study back in 2001, 2002. And then they did another study something like 10 years later in 2011. And what they found was that back in 2001 and 2002, about 3% of men under the age of 40 really had a problem with ED, erectile dysfunction. And of those, about a quarter of them claim that they probably watched too much pornography and masturbated too much, in their opinion, right? And then 10 years later, they did the same study on all these age groups, and they found that you would think that men over 40 would have a higher problem with erectile dysfunction. But what we found was that in the last 10 years, presumably since pornography is more accessible online, that men over 40 are masturbating too much, not connecting with warm bodies, and having a problem getting aroused. So what happens? How does that happen? I mean, if you really pick apart the study, what it looked like was that young men were just getting their start on their porn addiction. And by the time you're 41, you've had plenty of time to get all the way addicted. And now a quarter of men with ED are watching too much porn, can't connect with their wives.
There are a lot of confounds, and that is one of the problems with trying to understand this stuff and interpret it, is that there's a lot of confounds. Obviously age is a factor. That affects the prevalence of erectile dysfunction. When I was younger, man, hard on just by thinking about it. You want an erection? Here, give me a minute. Okay, there we go. I can't do that anymore. It takes a little work. It takes a little stimulation. It's just that's just a function of age. And all of us get there. Then there's other confounds, like how long have you continuously been with the same partner? We don't like to hear it, especially those of us in relationships. We don't like to hear it, but it is true, and there's scientific evidence that shows the longer you go without changing it up, and I don't mean changing positions. I mean changing partners. The longer you go, then the less frequently you want sex, the less frequently you desire it, and of course, erectile dysfunction is related to that.
So let's recap what you just said. What I heard you say was that if you're changing too many partners, then
No,
it
no, no.
becomes.
If you're the
Say it again.
longer you go with the same partner,
Okay.
it's called the Coolidge effect, and I think you
Oh,
even wrote about it in your book, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's named for President Coolidge. He's touring a hen house, and I think they say something like, how often, or no, he's touring the roosters, and he says, oh, these roosters, they have sex, like however many times a day, and his wife is like, oh wow, you should tell that to the president. And the president says, well, how many is it always with the same partner? And it's, oh no, it's with different hen every single time. It's like, oh, you should tell that to Mrs. Coolidge. It's like it's a little story about infidelity, I guess, and non being active outside of monogamy. So the longer we're with the same person, the more sex problems are going to be introduced. There's familiarity, as you talked about earlier, but then again, our bodies respond to novelty. And so when you look at studies like this, there's so many different confounds. When you talk about what could be in the way, is it porn? Is it this? Is it that? But if you're able to control for all those confounds, and I believe they controlled for some of them by randomizing the group or whatever. But if you're able to control for some of those confounds, you still see little impacts. You're always going to see people who have the dependency, I guess, if you will, on porn. We could call it porn. We could call it a porn addiction. It does happen. What I like to tell people, because I do talk about addiction quite a bit in various contexts, anything that provides the human brain with pleasure is potentially addictive. Anything.
That's right.
Right. You can, if people who bring up the argument against porn, I can make the same argument against Twinkies. Like lots of people eat Twinkies. A small percentage of people develop a problem with Twinkies.
Right.
And I bet you, if you were to plot it over a period of time in history, you would see the percentage of people that have a problem with Twinkies growing, over a certain type a bit of generations. And the reason for that is all the confounds. We have those all kinds of things. Oh, hey, look at that. We put the article.
Is internet pornography causing sexual dysfunctions? A review of reports, and I read this article actually to address the issue, which is our title, which we're titled tonight, which is porn a good handbook for sex? Because another article I read said that 18 to 24-year-old men were using porn to figure out how to have sex with the women, and that's just bad.
So let me just get back though. If you rely too heavily on a certain type of stimulus to achieve an erection, then clearly that's going to cause a problem. To what percentage of the people that affects? Well, it only affects the people with with that addiction. Now, the alternate thing though is porn a good handbook? I agree with you. I said, no, it's terrible. It's a terrible handbook, right? However, for a lot of us, that is the only handbook available.
Right.
And that's one of the problems.
Yeah.
When you sex education is not always good. You go to school and they have some teacher awkwardly talking to you about sex education. Meanwhile, you have a smartphone in your hand where you can Google anything you want and see whatever you want and look at whatever you want. I will say that as long as people watching porn understand that this is not sort of what to expect from normal, typical behavior, you can actually learn quite a bit from porn.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some things you can learn.
Yeah. Like I'll tell you a little personal thing about me. So I never watched a lot of porn when I was a kid. I didn't have the internet. We were so poor we couldn't afford the internet. No, it didn't exist. But I didn't have the internet. I didn't have ready access to porn. I had pictures you could imagine. You had Playboy, you had Penthouse, stuff like that. But you couldn't see it in action. Unless you had like a movie ticket to a real seedy theater downtown,
or find your uncle's VHS porn.
Right. So we didn't have them. We didn't have uncles do. Fathers don't, but uncles do. we didn't have access to that kind of stuff. So when I became to the age where I started being lucky enough to find people that wanted to have sex with me, I'll tell you, I had no idea what to do.
Yeah, what to do.
None whatsoever. I had taken sex education classes. I had the talk, with my parents.
Right.
They told me, oh well, the penis goes in the vagina. That not a
Not a
clue.
clue. And there
Not a
really isn't
clue.
a good resource. There's really not a
Yeah,
good resource out there. When I was growing up, there was this one book by Jesus. Who wrote that? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Do you remember?
I
It
do. I
was
never read
like,
it, but I remember. Yeah,
yeah, you heard it. Yeah, all the little girls read this book. And again, apart from porn, there's really no frame of reference to how to be a good lover. And then that's further complicated by the fact that we're all different. We're all into different
yeah.
things. So, for all those 18 to 24-year-old men that are looking at porn and thinking that that's how women want to be sexed, please get that up. That's just all bad.
Well, I
That's
will.
all bad. I will say this though. I have taken some tips from porn when it comes to giving oral pleasure, female to male.
If you are doing something as like a performance to just turn on the other person,
Yeah,
porn is a great tool for instruction,
right.
because it shows you go up and down, look at this way, look at that way. That's stuff you wouldn't have really thought of unless you saw that. Oh, that, look at that porn star doing that, and
Yeah.
that looks really hot. I'm gonna try it. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, like think about sex, your first time having it, and even the last time you had it, right? Uh, if your only reference point, as far as your education was, media portrayals of sex or the stuff you were taught in school or whatever, you think, as do a lot of people, that the parts just magically fit.
Yeah.
You bang your pelvis against somebody else's pelvis, and whoopee, you're in there.
Yeah.
That
You know, it's funny though. I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking like these poor men who are looking to porn to figure out how to properly have sex with a woman. It's just so sad because there is like, after you start having sex with women, there's this thing about men where it's like, we women, we don't know how to give you instruction.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're going in with this lack of experience, this lack of a frame of reference on what to do to her. And then when you get there, you're expecting that what comes naturally is supposed to be somehow good enough. And
Yeah.
that if she complains or otherwise gives you instruction, then it's a problem. Like, men have serious
Mhm.
psychological problems. I remember one time I told this
Yeah.
dude, just move a little to the right. And he took this attitude. He was just like, the right? I've been moving to the left for 7 months. He almost committed Harry Carey in
Let
the
me,
middle of the street. It's like,
yeah.
relax.
Let me tell you, if I wish I had porn when I was younger, because there are so many disappointed girls in my early history. Really, I remember I was sexually active maybe about a year or two before I learned really what to do with a clitoris. I had no idea, no concept really.
Right.
And so like all these like this, and they didn't know because they were inexperienced too. They didn't know what to tell a guy. And then one night I saw a girl working herself, like she was
There it
like,
is.
and I'm like, and like light bulbs just shooting out of my head,
There
like,
it is.
oh my God, I've been doing it wrong for so long.
Good for her and good for you.
I
My
wanted
word.
I wanted to call up every ex and just like, look, I'm sorry.
I'm so
I
sorry.
had no idea what I was doing down there. I mean, like, because they don't give you like the instructions. They
Yeah.
just tell you the general, like this is how, and so when you see somebody actually doing it in
Yeah.
video, in that format, it really, like if I had access to, I mean, every single porn involves playing with the clitoris.
Yeah.
And if I had seen that from day one, I'd have known what to do.
And not that I'm against porn, but tell the people why these poor young men should not be using porn as an instruction manual, because it's it's film, it's TV, it's
Yeah, yeah,
entertainment. And so, and here's the thing, on the flip side, women, like, if we want to, look for certain positions that might look sexier to him, like you said, if we're putting on a show or performance for him, sure, we can go to porn. We know that porn is based towards men. So we can look at that
Mhm.
and get an idea. But for men going to porn, trying to figure out how to, that, are you going to want?
It is
We don't
not.
want that.
No.
You don't have to
Usually,
murder the pussy. Don't murder my pussy. I just need that once every year, once or twice a year.
wait, are you telling me that you don't like it when we like pull out right before we're about to ejaculate and then do it all over your chest? You don't like that? That's not a thing?
Okay.
That's the lessons that porn teaches that are wrong, I would say.
Right.
That's the thing. Like porn,
Touche.
yeah. So they do these things in porn because it looks good on camera.
Right.
And it's not, you don't ever want to pull it out and squirt it somewhere. That's stupid. That in real life, that's not a practice. So yeah, there are a lot of things. And these poor people who are using porn as a handbook, hopefully they can tell the difference. Maybe somebody out there will make some good porn that'll actually show them how it's done and then say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if there are any instructional videos, like fair instructional videos. I mean, we get sex education in school. You're lucky if somebody referred you to the right book. But other than those two, I mean, somebody should really make an instruction manual for how to, make love to a woman.
I would imagine it's probably out there. It's just not very popular, And to bring that into a high school would be like you'd get arrested. Like as a teacher, like, hey, I want you guys to watch this film. That you'd lose your job right away at the bare minimum. So it's a weird society we live in when it comes to sex. It really is.
It really is. It's weird because everybody's so different, and you're certainly entitled to your own sexual opinions, and then yet culture sort of tries to push you and sort of streamline you into what you're supposed to do. But so our guest has arrived. We are super happy to have this guy on today. Wow, what a talent! A comedian, an actor, and apparently an Emmy Award winning talent. I'm going to ask him more about that.
Apparently. You guys, apparently there's an Emmy there.
Warm welcome for Ron G, everybody. Ron G.
What's up, party people? What's up, Sam? How you doing?
Hey,
What's going on?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Great to see your face. A long time.
I know it's been a long time. We're at that stage where it's like it's sort of beginning of the post-pandemic, where when you see people, it hadn't occurred to you hadn't seen them in a long time. You get a feeling.
Weird, man. I forgot how to greet people, and I forgot how I feel. I remember I used to, before the pandemic, you knew how you felt when somebody asked you how you doing. Now it's like, I don't know how I'm doing. I honestly don't know. Give me 16 minutes or 6 days. I don't know. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Let's hug.
With the elbow. We'll hug with the elbow. Like, come here.
That's right.
Give me some elbow.
You just walked in, so you really haven't had a chance to be listening to our.
It's a grown conversation.
It's a grown conversation. What we're talking about
is this comedy or this is personal therapy? Like, how we do this? Because I got a few different approaches.
We try to keep it a little bit of each. Really,
it's a little heavy. It's a little heavy.
Yeah, well, we talk about sex, science, and comedy on this show,
in that order.
Well, not necessarily. on broad, what we do is we look at what sex says. What popular culture says about sex, what science says about it, and then expose why it's hilarious. Because
Okay.
Right.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because we're animals. According to science, we're animals.
Right.
And apparently we love porn. And so that's what today's topic is about. We're talking a little about how
nasty movies, as we call it growing up. Watching the nasty movies.
There we go.
Yeah, because that's really our instruction manual when we were young, especially for young men. Is that what you did when you were between the ages of 18 and 24?
That and rap videos that showed us how to do what we do.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So like if you were getting ready to smash a girl, a woman,
mm-hmm.
you would refer to your rap videos or maybe some porn to try
the beginning of it.
Just the beginning?
Yeah, there's no actual acts in the beginning of it, but how to try to talk to a woman, I feel like an ignorant child who doesn't know anything about life and trying to figure out how to talk to a woman, you'll think that's normal. Because all the guys with the money and the gold and the cars get the women by talking to them a certain kind of way. So if you don't know any better and the streets raise you, then you think that's normal.
Right. So you go out there and you fall on your face with that.
Yeah. And then the actual act is being seen on porn. And you're like, they can do it for a whole hour? What's wrong with me? That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then when did you learn to not do that? Or have you learned?
It took me a while. I forgot I was Chris Brown the first maybe 20 years trying to figure that thing out.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a conversation for my dad. Like he just said, cover that hole.
Right.
That's what he said. He literally said, just cover that hole. Make sure you bring home the kids. But then I messed around. My senior year in college, I had a kid, and I found out it wasn't mine.
Oh,
and
wow.
part of that was, how do I say? Okay, so I feel like I always knew I was special, and God was always tugging on my heart. You said science. I don't know if we can do spirituality too, but I'm going to go and do it.
We were talking about that.
No, I feel like God was always tugging on my heart that I was different.
Okay.
But the life that was put in front of me was I was kind of like always encouraged by older men to be like, how many girlfriends you got, young man? How many girlfriends you got? And I had to have an answer for them. Like, oh, I got 6 girlfriends. And I'm like a kid. Like, yeah, I got 6. And they're like, oh, high five, little man. You got 6 girlfriends? Oh, you doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? But then when these girls actually started to like me and started kissing on me and stuff started to happen inside my body, I was like, wait, hold on, this is a thing? And then I had to learn, like, I remember when I first started having sex, I used to use 2 condoms. Yeah, one for STD and one so I don't get her pregnant. I didn't know. Nobody told me what I was supposed to do. The girl's like, why you got 2 on? I'm like, just making sure. I wasn't feeling nothing, but I just like thought that was what you're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, and you might not have even had sex.
Say again?
I said you might not have even had sex. You were so removed.
I just did it so wrong. I didn't know what I was doing. And every time I did it, I thought I got somebody pregnant. So I was just so scared and terrified of having a kid before it was my time. But later on, I kind of figured it out. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And you start asking questions, or you were like, oh, okay, this is what women like. Okay.
Right.
Like I said, I was Chris Brown. I was doing everything. You know what I'm saying? But then I feel like you get to a certain age. That's why I always tell people don't get married until late 20s, early 30s, because you find your move.
Yeah.
Once you find your move and what you like, it's kind of hard. You don't know what you like until you like, oh, I like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it takes some
in your
years.
head, you feel like you know, or you like, oh man, I know I'm knocking it down. But you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think for most people, we spend our 20s, part of our early 30s, figuring out what we like and what we don't like. It's a whole discovery process that can take years.
Yeah, the 20s, life is happening.
Yeah.
30s, like you're like, oh, I have control of what's happening, and this is what I like. And you're trying to undo all the stuff from your 20s because you thought that was normal and nobody told you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he mentioned, Dr. Brian King, Ron mentioned that his dad didn't have any talks with him about how to have sex.
Wow.
I don't think that's common. I don't think the talk is common.
It's not common, is it?
It's common on like TV shows as a kid. We grew up and, hey, son, sit down. Let's talk.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of TV dads raised us. So that was our reference point. But like my real dad, he didn't tell me nothing about that. I just knew I was supposed to get
interesting. That's really interesting because I can remember very vividly the day that my dad brought into the bedroom and said, I got to tell you something. And I started laying it down. And I mean, he did so in like the worst way possible. But I can.
How old were you when that happened?
Having that talk, and now I don't remember that, and I might be making this up. Actually, I don't even know. No, I maybe like 12, 13-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think that's the perfect time. I feel like now you have to tell a kid earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
At least about the like, don't let nobody touch your person. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't feel like you got to have that conversation way earlier than you think. Because I feel like we were kind of innocent for a long time.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of child molesting happening in the early 80s, and it was just all hush, 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 shush, shush.
My kid is 4, and we tell her all the time about like your body, your business. Don't let anybody touch you. Don't let anybody, in a way you don't want. I mean, like, we're already laying the groundwork for that because you want to keep kids safe. You don't want to give them too much information when they're too young, but you also want to help them identify stuff that ain't supposed to happen.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
I don't know how good I'm doing about with that. My daughters they're gonna be 14 and 11 soon, and I just tell them every damn thing. Like I had a different experience. My mother did not protect me, nor did she educate me. And so I remember when my oldest daughter was coming home from daycare, every day I would shake her down and be like, did somebody hurt you today? Right? Did somebody touch you?
That's installing fear.
Yeah. And I think I was installing fear. Like it played out, and she's old enough now for us to talk about it, but it wasn't the greatest approach. And so, as an overall topic, I think that this culture, in fact, maybe all cultures across the world, I mean, I can't speak for those cultures abroad, but Americans certainly should take a better look at creating resources for people to educate their children about sex so that we don't go into this whole thing so blind.
I also think we teach from our pain. Like in general, parents and people and comedians, we all build our life around our pain to avoid that at all costs, you know. And a lot of that information is not good information, but for us, we feel like it's law because it's true to us. Like even telling a little girl to be strong and independent when no other species of animals last long without community. You need community. Like, and they're like the animals that live long in the animal kingdom are the ones who do community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're social creatures.
And
God
so
created us as
to
social.
tell yourself that I'm strong and independent, or I'm a loner and I don't need people, like that's the strictest punishment in prison. But we glorify being alone and not fooling with people. And I'm like, that's not life. But again, it's true to us, but it's not necessarily the truth, you know?
You know, you're absolutely right. You're kind of hitting
Such a good
hot
point.
button.
Such a good point.
You're actually hitting a hot button because I could spend a whole nother episode debating you on this particular point, but I think it is true. I think God, you're right. God made us, we're social creatures, right? Fellowship with other, being social is important. Also being in
and there's
love.
nuance to that. There's nuance to that.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, you know, right now, like you said, we speak and teach from our pain, right? I was brokenhearted. So today, because of that, my focus is on my children and my career. So for my strength today, I think it's fair for me to say, you know, I enjoy my independence and I like it and I want to keep it. But should I ever mend my heart and decide that I want to fall in love and let someone all the way into my heart, then I realize as a woman, when you marry a man or fall in love, mutually in love, you have to give up some of your independence. You can't just be
independent and a partner at the same time.
Yeah, you can't. You have to give up some of your
and you can't do intimacy without vulnerability. So you have to unpack all that stuff. And if you want the life you say you want, you have to open your hand up because nobody can give you anything with your hand closed.
What do you say about couples that like to watch porn when they have sex? What do you think?
It's their business.
Yeah.
But I'll also say that everything has to be done in moderation, but you have to govern yourself, and you'll find out. Even this thing called comedy, I love comedy. Like, but it changed my life. I met my wife, became debt free. I'm a homeowner. All these things happen because I became a comedian. But at the same time, along with being a comedian, you have free drinks. It's always free drinks.
Yeah.
It's always bar food.
Right.
It's always like, if you're an attractive guy and you are the guy in the room that everybody came to see, there's vagina attached to that. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't learn to govern that thing and self-govern yourself, all those things over time, you can look back and realize like, yo, like I'm a grown man. I've never been in love before. Or I think I'm an alcoholic. And it's not the obvious stuff. It's the over time indulging in, I eat bar food every day and I have high cholesterol and I'm going to kill myself at this rate.
It'll creep up
and
on
comedy clubs don't have healthy food. So, and you're headlining, you're eating bar food every single weekend, 52 weeks a year. Like, you are responsible for governing yourself and making time to feel. Like, life happens. People die and people get sick. And if you're still just touring nationally and not giving yourself time to feel, you will crash emotionally, So the hardest part about comedy that I've learned is learning balance and who is in your space and in your camp and in your way to let you know, like, hey, you need to slow down, or hey, you need to work on this. And if you're all around a bunch of yes men that, just want to feature for you and say yes to you and never tell you about yourself, you can easily self-destruct. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people that I grew up considering, like legends. I'm like, oh, you're not a legend. You're just broken. Or what happened to your career? Like, you were the guy. And then now I'm out here and I see you. And I'm like, oh, that's why you're not famous. That's why you never took off, because you're trying to regulate yourself and you smoke that meat weed where you think it's all about you. And there's nobody telling you that this is not right, this is not cool, or this is okay. This is not okay.
So how Christian of an answer with that? I go, Ron, what do you think about watching porn as a couple? And he brings it all the way to you, true to yourself. You got to be.
No, it's true. Because even couples have to balance that. Because I know, even if you let somebody into your bedroom and you start doing threesomes, like, there's a lot of rules that you didn't establish because you didn't say that up front. And there's a lot of nuance to the things that you don't know to ask until it hit you in the face. You have to govern that. Is it okay? It's up to you. I can't say if it's good or bad. Watching porn, is it good or bad? But if somebody, like, think about it. We live in a generation where literally 80% of all little boys, probably more than that, watch porn.
Sure.
Then you have little girls who have fantasy about being married and being a wife and being a princess. When those two generations meet, there has to be some form of reconciliation.
There it is.
Because she wants to be a princess and treat like a queen, and all he knows is to be a savage and destroy the puss. Can I say that?
Yes.
Destroy the puss?
Yes.
Yeah. To destroy it. So you have a little girl who wants validation, and you have a little boy who wants to destroy
the box.
Yeah. He wants to tear it up, and he doesn't know how to be delicate and know how to protect because it's a thing instead of a person attached to that thing.
Right.
And how do you reconcile that thing?
Right.
That's why I said it's all about balance as opposed to right or wrong, because I don't really care about right or wrong. It's like balance.
I love how you put that. I love how you stated it in a balance, and I really do love how you broke it down with the life of a touring comedian. It's funny because as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, I wish I had somebody like you to tell me about that when I started touring, because before you got on, Sam and I were talking about how I was very unhealthy, and then I've been losing weight. I got all that weight because of touring, because of bar food, because of these comedy clubs. Everybody's giving you free stuff, and that was my one problem.
When do you make time to work out? When you're headlining 52 weeks a year, when do you
work
out?
Have. And then you got to drive from city to city every day to do the next gig, and the
radio shows in the morning. You got to be up at 5. So when would you have time to work out?
None whatsoever. It was tough. So that was the life. And then, it takes its toll. You have to learn how to put that into balance. I really like the way you put that. I really did.
Ranji, I knew you would be the bomb guest. So what do you got going on? You got a lot going on. I was looking at your IMDb. You've seen you on Nickelodeon. How many times you were on Last Comic Standing for how many episodes?
I was a finalist on Last Comic Standing. I was on HBO's Insecure. I'm kind of sort of Emmy winner, kind of sort of.
What you mean?
You said that's what you said earlier.
Your show.
It was a callback. You said something like a Emmy winner. Also, right now I'm on.
I said that because it was a surprise to me. I looked and I was like, oh wow. Apparently. Yeah. So tell me about that.
So super dope project. I feel like that project literally changed my life. This is the part too. It might be a little heavy, but I'll try to get to it. So sometimes in this craft that we do called comedy, we have opportunities where we feel like we don't want to do because we're beyond a certain point in our career. And this one particular gig, this guy wanted me to host this music festival that was all weekend in Pasadena, thousands of people. And he told me how much I was getting paid. And I'm like, this ain't my rate. But I was like, let me go ahead and do it. I did the show on Saturday. One of the acts took a long time to come out. The DJ didn't come out. And I was just giving them A-grade material.
Okay.
In the middle of my just hosting, because hosting, you're just trying to make sure the crowd just feels comfortable, whatever.
Keeping it together, even though things were breaking around.
Falling apart. Everything falling apart. They didn't tell me when the next person's coming out, so I'm just doing material. The next day, I get a call from the showrunner from the show on CNN called United Shades of America. He's like, bro, I saw you yesterday. You destroyed it.
Right.
He said, got a cool opportunity. Would love for you to, we're trying to find a person to travel with the host of this TV show on CNN, and we just need a young voice who's a writer who understands his voice, easy to work with, and kind of understands, and willing to travel. Yeah. And he told me about it, told me how much I'll get paid, and he said, "Are you open to do this?" And my pride was like, "I got a TV show coming on. I don't know if I want to do this." But then I was like, you know what? And I feel like the TV show fell apart. And he told me how much I was getting paid. I was like, you know what? I talked to my girlfriend at the time, and it was my wife, and she said, "You should try it." And we did it. And it literally changed my life. One of the best opportunities I have ever had doing the show. Traveled the world. We literally saw face to face all the demographics and nuances of people that our former president did not like. From Muslims in America to gangs in Chicago to immigration. We went to a Standing Rock in North Dakota. And just the nuances of things that happen in this world that we don't even know about. Like even when they was doing like the locking kids in cages, all those concentration camps are in the middle of nowhere. And so in these concentration camps, there's no programming. Even in prison, there's programming where you can, get a degree, you can learn a trade, you can do all these things. They have nothing, where they're literally sitting in a building in the middle of nowhere. So even if you were able to get a lawyer to do it pro bono and help out with your case with immigration, they would have to drive 6 hours round trip to help you out. And we went to speak to a Christian organization who was going to check on the people and just say hello and send them care packages and love on them and read the kids bedtime stories because there's no programming in these places. And that's never mentioned in the conversation about immigration.
So
and that's
that was
just
a whole
one thing.
soul experience.
That was just one thing. And it changed my voice when I got back home, because I was like, I can't talk about the stuff I'm talking about now because it doesn't feel me. I need to talk about what's happening in the world.
And that somehow led to an Emmy?
Yeah, because I want to be in the consulting producer. It had live comedy. So I wrote the live comedy and I wrote the voiceovers for the show. And this is my first producer opportunity ever. So I was very grateful for the opportunity.
And I just saw you working with MC Light.
Yeah. I just booked a show called Partners in Rhyme. And it's her sitcom about her life. And I play her brother. It's a really dope, fun show. And they allow me to do me on TV. I feel like I've never had the opportunity. Like as artists, like sometimes we'll get an opportunity and we know the role's not written for us, but we have to make it the best of it. But this one is like, do you?
Right.
And I had a chance to do me, and I'm excited about the project, and I can't wait for the people to see it.
And you're flying out every weekend doing comedy.
I just started back traveling.
Okay, you just started doing comedy.
Yeah, I was doing Zoom shows.
So where are you going? Oh, you were doing Zoom shows.
Yeah, I was doing corporate Zoom shows. So I was paying my house note from doing corporate Zoom shows.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
I love it. I love it. I wish I could fist pump you
right here. Bam.
through the plexiglass. And so where are you going to be? You're going to be somewhere this weekend?
I just got back from Tacoma.
Okay, how was that?
I was in Tacoma. Nate Jackson, shout out to Nate Jackson, comedian. Super talented comedian. He opened up his own comedy club in Tacoma, state-of-the-art comedy club. The venue is incredible. Like the venue is so nice, man.
That's what I'm hearing.
It was so awesome. And just the people at Tacoma, if I could shoot a special, I would love to shoot it there. But the energy was right. It felt good to get these jokes out of my head.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting home for a whole year and a half, and I got 5 standing ovations out of 5 shows. It was really dope, man.
I love it. Well, listen, you guys can find Ron G, comedian, actor, producer Ron G, at comedian Ron G online on social everywhere. And are you going to fly? Are you going to be working this weekend? Or do you have a show tonight in LA?
I do. I do have a show tonight in LA at a place on Fairfax. It's called it's at Tom Bergen's on Fairfax.
Okay.
But every Sunday I do the world famous Laugh Factory Chocolate Sundays. Check it out.
That's
2 shows, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and I will be in Vegas on the 16th. So
okay, let's back up because you just ran the Chocolate Sundays thing off like it was nothing.
Oh, I thought you were wrapping up, so I didn't know what was happening.
I am wrapping up, but the Chocolate Sundays thing is the one thing that I wanted to talk to you. This is just about the hottest Black comedy night in Los Angeles. In this,
it's the most diverse
Western
comedy night, even though it's promoted by Black people. I feel like it's the most. There's no other show in LA that's as diverse as Chocolate Sundays. Like everybody's there.
And you've been hosting that show for how long?
Probably 5-6 years.
With Pookie Wigington.
Pookie, yeah,
who is the man.
He's the guy.
And you are such a dynamic comedian at this show because as a host, you have to be on your toes. You're not always hitting the cat.
I don't get bad days. I'm not allowed to have bad days.
Right. I've never seen you not do well on stage.
Well, I would feel different, but at the same time, I just condition myself where I make sure I have a good time.
Yeah.
If I have a good time, it doesn't matter how my set went. Like, as long as I have a good time and I'm true to myself, I used to perform for people and be like, I hope they like me and I hope they like the set. Now I just I'm giving what I'm getting. I'm telling them this is what you should like. This is what you should laugh at. And if you don't, you blocking your own blessing.
You're one of my favorite comedians.
Thank you.
I respect you so much. And
I
certainly will never, ever forget the kind words that you gave me when we went to Keenan Baker's years ago. I really put my heart
man.
But
the show changed the energy of the room. Your story changed the energy of the room. It was awesome.
Wow.
And it was brave to do that. You didn't have to, but it was awesome. That was a great show.
I had to be brave. I appreciate you coming to me and saying something because no one else did. Just so you know. Listen, we're not cutting it short. We're cutting your interview short. But we ran over. Brian, is there anything you want to say to this talented act here?
Thank you, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
bro.
The one with the grapes recently that you posted. Oh my God. That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, man.
And it's like, I see reels come out. I see TikToks. I'm like, I don't know. What can I do that would be creative, that would, like add value to this? And oh man, you are doing. If you guys aren't following this man on Instagram, check him out. Seriously,
thank you, bro. And so what happened was, I feel like during quarantine, everybody was doing side-by-side videos, and I'm like, I don't want to do the same thing. I want to do something different. And I just took a chance. And at first, people were like, why do you keep using the same song? And I'm like, they were like, I'm unfollowing you. They're using the same song. And I was like, there's no other song I can use. And
I'm addicted. And
it works.
And people talk about it. People are like, you seen Ron G shit on Instagram? Like, everybody, seriously, go to Instagram, follow comedian Ron G.
Thank you so much.
Someday there has to be like a DVD compilation or something. Some tangible or an NFT, sell them as NFTs, something.
That's dope.
All right, listen, thanks for coming, Ron. I just really admire you as a talent and as a person. And your wife, I can't figure out which one of y'all is prettier. Y'all are just too cute. Y'all are just
So
too
funny.
cute. They have this couples couch,
super dope.
Yeah, live feed that they just talk about where they just talk about relationship stuff. And
Yeah.
how long have you been married now?
2 years.
And your wife's first name?
Manal, M-E-N-A-L.
Aw.
My lady, she dope. She my buddy, and she's
dope.
hilarious too.
Yeah, she is. She's
hilarious.
So gorgeous and so funny. So guys, check him out again, comedian Ron G, on social media everywhere at comedian Ron G. Don't forget to check out Dr. Brian and King's book, The Art of Taking It Easy. You can find it on Amazon. You get the paperback, the hardback, and the Kindle ebook now, I'm told. And also check out my book, The Complete Player, also available on Amazon. You can get the ebook and the paperback. We pick apart the science of psychology. Dr. Brian King is talking about laughter and why it's important to relax. And I talk about the neurological dynamics of sex, love, heartbreak, and addiction. So we appreciate you again, Ron G. And this has been another case of the King-Abrams Show. We out.
Bye-bye.
Straight up, I'm serious.